What's going on, everybody? It is the one and only Q from Retro Q Gamer back in effect as always, and I decided, you know what? I'm gonna play the best game ever made because I mean, why wouldn't you? It's the best game ever made. My personal favorite game of all time, Secret of Mana, and we're gonna play it in the best possible way. No, we're not playing it upscaled with a frame meister put onto a modern TV or whatever. We are going a different route. We're going with the Super NT. Anyway, there'll be plenty of time. Let's just go straight into it. I'm just gonna let the intro roll for just a second. Your little intrigues me, Kuroda. Well, I guess it's my personal favorite game of all time. That's why I like to call it the best game of all time. Because obviously I'm right. So that's how we'll run with this. Anyway, we'll pick a nice easy name for us to go with, and we'll boot up the intro. It's a shame that the remake was such a letdown. The beauty of so many high quality games back then like this is that so many of them were so good that with the exception of Secret of Mana, which has a firm number one spot at the top of my favorite game of all time list, numbers 2 to 10 in the same list are almost undescribable. The games I know, but they're so ridiculously good and so ridiculously close that I can't actually differentiate between what is second best, third best, fourth best. So I always say that my second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th game are all joint. I never like the default window for this. I always change it. Oh, I agree. The music, the entire soundtrack of this game is amazing. It's, believe it or not, I actually have it on CD. I have it imported on a Japanese CD because I love the soundtrack so much. My opinion on a remake. Oh, that's a dangerous question. Dangerous question. So my opinion on the Secret of Mana remake. Naturally, I was very hesitant because the art, when I first saw it, because the art style in that game is... Roulette, it's a bit questionable. But I gave it the benefit of the doubt. I gave it the benefit of the doubt because I wanted to play an updated, remade version of my favorite game of all time. However, what we got was something else. I was very, very unhappy with the remake of this game. There was so many small, nuanced changes. Now, I don't know what it is. It's just there was so many small, nuanced changes to the movement, the combat, just the gameplay in general, that, coupled with the art style, it just wasn't for me. I said it. I think it was in the ending, during the credits of the. I actually streamed the entire game before of the remake, and during the credits of that, I gave my thoughts on it. And basically, what I surmised at the end of it is that even though there's so many small changes, well, for the most part, they feel like small changes, but there's so many of them that it feels too different from the game I know and the game I love. And even though the story is the same, and that technically still makes it Secret of Mana, it's just not the same game. It's just not, despite it being the same game, it's just not the same game. Now, you could argue that, well, whenever you remake someone's old school classic favorite game of all time, it's always going to be different. There's always going to be that, all the small things will seem more glaring to that particular person, which could be possible. I'm not gonna deny that. I don't know why, but I always use this combination of window. But it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. And I was very unhappy with that. In fact, someone I talk to very frequently, just about a week or two ago, his girlfriend likes, well, this kind of style of game, or at least the art style and all. And he knows this is my favorite game of all time. So when she said she wanted to play the remake, he told me. And I was like, no. Tell it, you have a SNES Mini. Let her play the original. But no, she wants to play. It's partially because of the art style and whatnot. So I'm very disheartened about that. Very unfortunate. Circling back to the soundtrack, when the music we were talking about a minute ago, the voiceovers, yeah. I mean, I rolled with it. I rolled with the addition. I realized that the game isn't catered just to me, and that they wanted to make it more modern and updated for a newer audience with newer, newer quality of life and newer expectations of modern games and whatnot. I'm not going to fault them for doing that, but I just didn't enjoy that. But, like I said, circling around to what we talked about a minute ago, the soundtrack is, because Secret of Mana was actually originally developed for the ill-fated CD system, the Super Nintendo CD system, and it almost never got released because it was, when the CD system fell through, so much of the game was cut out and removed, including CD quality music, obviously, because it was a cartridge. So even the original Super Nintendo cartridge. By the way, I should say I'm playing on Super NT with my original cartridge. So even if you play it on a SNES, an actual SNES, or you play it on something like a Super NT, if you play it on any type of emulated thing, software, virtual console, whatever, no matter what you do, you never get the top quality CD quality music unless you use the actual CDs. Now, the cool thing about that is if you listen, it's very hard to discern unless you're as experienced with this game as I am. But there's minor audio problems in parts of this. There's little stuff dropping out every so often, certain instruments and all that. But if you listen to the CDs, it's not the case. They play perfectly. And that just goes to show how much they cut it down just to get it onto the cartridge and still release it. I need to go out and farm 10 more GP, which I believe should be 5 enemies. Cool thing about, I suppose we could say the scary thing about the CD system is because this was originally going to be developed for it and so much was cut out because of it. They almost cancelled this. They almost cancelled this game. Okay, 50 GP, we're good. And while okay, if they had finally released a CD upgraded version of it, well, that would have probably been even better. I shudder to think about this game never being released at all, even in this form. That's a world I do not want to live in. Yeah, that's no, you hit it right on the head, Kuro. That's it. Like during combat and action in specific, like in particular, you might be swinging a sword or whatever, and it will miss a beat or something like that. That's inherent to no matter what you play it on because of cartridge limitations with the music. So you hit it right on the head with that. And here's the problem: once you hear it, you can never unhear it. So, enjoy that for the rest of your life. Now, it's not enough to ruin the experience for anyone. I don't think it is anyway. The game is just so good that I don't think it's going to kill the playthrough or kill anyone's enjoyment of the game. But it's just, for someone like me who's played it so much, and you know, it's my favorite game ever, I notice these things. And I'm sure like, plenty of other people like you can notice it too now, and now you'll never be able to not hear it. In fact, probably everyone watching who ever sees this will now no longer be able to unhear it. I originally thought it was just down to crappy emulation and stuff, because I had always played it on the Super Nintendo, and for years, like literally decades, you'd move on and you'd play it on like the Wii Virtual Console or something like that, and you think, oh, this must be shoddy emulation, or you're emulating it on the PC, and it's like, oh, this must be shoddy emulation, it's just down the original didn't do that. But then you go and play the original, I was like, wait a minute, it actually does that. And then you read into it a bit more and you find out the details, and it's like, oh, so that's actually a legit problem. Well, it's funny you mention that, Kuro. Funny you mention that. I've actually, about this time last year, I want to say maybe January, February, March of 2018, I streamed the entire thing, one entire story of Secret of Mana 2, aka Suikoden Densetsu 3, on here as well with the Super NT. I think it was the first game I played when I got the Super NT to test it out. And yeah, I have an English Repro cartridge as well. That's how I play it. It's a great game, it's amazing. And the cool thing about it is that so many of the systems and so many of the other things that were removed from Secret of Mana when they couldn't put it on the CD were incorporated into that game. The day-night cycle, for example. That was actually originally supposed to be in this game. There's a bunch of other stuff too, but like some of the other stuff made it into later, well, Super Nintendo Final Fantasy games, and some of them made it into Chrono Trigger. So all the extra development and cut content and all from this game, at least it didn't go to waste. It was put to use in It was put to use in some other very high quality games. There we go. And the Mantis Ant is toast. I keep telling myself, like, I wanna build up a library, if you will, of archived streams of some of, I suppose you could say, some of my favorite games of all time. But a lot of them are JRPGs. Actually, I think all of them are JRPGs. So they're all really long games and require so much into it. Oh yeah, I'm not surprised. Everyone should be a massive Chrono Trigger fan. It's so good. That is one of the games that's tied on my top 10 list. So is Secret of Mana 2, to be honest. That's up there as well. Do I like the Enix RPGs in the SNES? Actually, I do. I grew up with Illusion of Time, which is Illusion of Gaia for other regions out there. But I grew up with that over and over and over again. And then in the early 2000s, I got a copy of Terranigma. And then just recently, a couple of months ago, I picked up an English, one of the hard to find European Scandinavian copies of Soul Blazer with English language. And I mean, they're great games. I never finished Soul Blazer. I was playing that recently, but yeah, the entire trilogy is quality stuff. They're very similar to what we have here. And that's one of the many reasons why not only I consider the Super Nintendo the greatest console of all time, and many of my favorite games are on the Super Nintendo, but you have all the, like, when you look at the quality of the games, it's easily to see why it's well regarded as as one of the greatest consoles of all time and some of the best games of all time. Yeah, Illusion of Gaia and Terranigma was Japanese and European only. But at least the handy thing is you got Soul Blazer over there. I mean, I know technically we got Soul Blazer here as well, but the English language version of Soul Blazer in Europe was very, very rare. That's why it was very expensive when I bought it. But it was worth it. It was like the last major thing to add to the collection for a long time. A repro of Star Ocean. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I know I have, I think it's 6, maybe 8 Super Famicom games, and they're mostly just to have. Like, obviously I can't play them. Well, I can't understand them. But Star Ocean is one of the ones I have. Mainly because of the series it started and the series it spawned. I've played the fan-translated ROM of it, not to completion, but I mean, the game itself is good. Now I'm actually wondering, what are my Super Famicom games? I have a Suikoden Densetsu 3. I have a Japanese version as well as the English repro. I have a Chrono Trigger. I have Final Fantasy VI. I have Tales of Phantasia, Star Ocean, Bahamut Lagoon. I think I have Final Fantasy 4 and 5 as well. I think that's all of them. I love Japanese Super Famicom game boxes. They're so cool. The way the art is done on them and the size of them. A nice a CD of 44 tracks of musical gold. So we're in for that for a long time. Speaking of which, actually, I meant to say this a minute ago when we were talking about the music. If you ever wonder how, like, I know most people will just say, oh, there's not too much of a difference between the CD music and whatnot. Look up the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past CD music mod. The difference is insane. And most people don't know about this one as well. If you talk to the elder after you come back and everyone's gone, change the music again. And you get an extra story. Only a Final Fantasy V for the Super Famicom. Well, that's one of 3. So you're 33% of the way there. 4 and 6 being the big ones, of course, for many people. I made sure to go out of my way at some point to have every mainline Final Fantasy game. Just because. I mean, Final Fantasy is such a big part of my life that it felt wrong to not have every game. So I know with re-releases and regional differences and different platforms and whatnot, I always made sure to have at least one version of each game. Even if it is the original platform or not. Wait a minute. I think I have them all on the original platforms, actually. I'd have to check that. Batteries for my cartridges. No, that's the funny thing. Now, I'll get to why that might potentially be now in a second. But no, I've only ever had a problem with one single battery for any of my games. Now, there may be another one that does have a battery issue. I'm not sure if it's just a die-in or dead cartridge, or if it's just a battery issue. But I have one European Super Nintendo game. One European Super Nintendo game where the battery has died. Now, I've replaced the battery, so it's all good, and I can do that. That game, of course, is Super Mario All-Stars, my first and oldest Super Nintendo game, which that one kind of makes sense that battery is dying. But I think why you might be having a lot of problems, Kuro, compared to me, is that games would have released significantly earlier in America versus Europe. We would have got them 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months later. So your games would technically be 1 to 2 years older than me. Biz, I'm capturing this from my Super NT. I have the analog Super NT plugged into my Elgato, and I'm going that way. Playing from the original cartridge, Biz, because you know me. You know everyone coming here. My piracy, my emulation. Nah, fam. I got my nice FPGA Super NT original card. Only the best of the best for me, Biz. Come on, you know that. as you probably know as well, Kuro, you can replace the batteries on them. However, if the battery is so badly degraded and so close to actually fully dying, you may lose your saves once you change them around. Okay, come on. Hurry up and leave. Any second now. There we go. Yeah, All Stars came with my Super Nintendo. Probably the same as you. In fact, we probably have the same big bundle and box. The big yellow one that has the Super Mario All Stars thing on it. See, this is why I love retro games. Not only do they look amazing, but there's no microtransactions, none of that stuff here. Just quality games. And no problem, Coral. I appreciate anyone stopping by, as always. Even if it's for 2 minutes or 2 hours, whatever it is. And naturally, you know, you can keep me talking about retro games all day, all night, you know? I'll probably be going for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 more hours. Probably 2 by the looks of the time. Have to be careful and remember I'm not just playing this for myself and not to spam through the text. Yeah, that's cool. I'll see you later if that's the case. Objective is clear. Off to Gaia's navel. Well, I don't know, Biz. The hidden gems videos, they take a lot of work. You know, we have to comb through a library of videos, a library of games that no one else has combed through to try find the same hidden gems that everyone else hasn't found. I could always jump on the train and just be, 10 hidden gems of the Nintendo Switch. There's some words you never thought you'd hear me say. Oh, you're not wrong, Biz. You're not wrong. I mean, this is... I think... What, like... It's hard to explain. Well, actually, is it really? So for me, this is the best game of all time. This is my favorite game of all time, easily, hands down. Chrono Trigger is in my top 10, and the reason I say it's in my top 10 and not like number 2 or in my top 5 or whatever, is that for me, my top like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games are all so good and so close, I can't differentiate their exact positions. So I say games 2 to 10 are all joint position, and Chrono Trigger is one of them. I think why I love Chrono Trigger so much as well, but why it slightly falls behind here, is I didn't get to play Chrono Trigger until much later. Mainly because Chrono Trigger never came out on the Super Nintendo in Europe. I had to import a US copy in like, what was it, 2000, maybe 2001. Oh, you're not the only one. I loved role-playing games and stuff from like the Commodore 64 and the early Super Nintendo, and I saw this game. I still remember the very first night I ever played this game. A friend of mine was staying here in my house, and well, not here in my house, but you know what I mean. He was staying the night. Let's see, what was the European SNES RPG? I'll get to that one now in a second, because I'll go over the not knowing it. Yeah, I still remember renting it. My friend was staying in my house that night, and we went down to rent a game to play, and we rented this. I had wanted to rent it for a while, but I finally got around to it that night, and the game just changed my life, basically, and that's why it's my favorite game of all time. But it was something special. And yeah, in regards to the soundtrack... Oh, that's right, I'm going to need to... Let me see. I'm going to have to pick a different save file to go over. We're going to go over the top one, just because... I know the bottom one is my main file, so we'll go over the top one. I have no idea whose name those are, so we'll start over anyway. Yeah, the SNES sleepovers, they were the day. They were like LAN party tier stuff. They were godlike. It was so good. My friend had a Super Nintendo, I had a Super Nintendo. He brought some multiplayer games. We'd sit here playing stuff like Sunset Riders, Goof Troop, whatever it is we needed to do. We'd play this eventually. But, oh yeah, as far as what was the European Super Nintendo RPG, it's a good question, because there were a few of them. This was one of them. We never got Chrono Trigger. We never got Super Mario RPG. So we actually never got Final Fantasy 4 and 6. So, or that would be Final Fantasy 2 and 3 for you. So we had stuff like this. We had stuff like Mystic Quest Legend. That's Final Fantasy Mystic Quest for you. Illusion of Time. That's Illusion of Gaia for you. Terranigma, which you guys didn't get. To an extent, Soul Blazer, but that was very, very rare, so I don't really count that. Obviously, Link to the Past was up there too. So, I mean, we had some good ones. No, as you know, I can't answer that for sure. I don't believe I call it Lufia, just the way I pronounce stuff. It's just Lufia to me. I know most people call it Lufia, but as far as I know, it never released over here. I could be wrong. I think Lunar. Lunar might be only on Saturn. I can't remember. But I don't believe Lufia released over here. We had another one actually. It was kind of a niche one called Lagoon. That was good. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, what other Super Nintendo RPGs do I have upstairs? Oh, Secret of Evermore was one as well. That came out over here. Obviously, it was kind of an American-based spiritual successor to this, if you will. So obviously it wasn't as good, but it was still a decent game. I don't think it deserves the hate it gets, just because it's not as good. It's like Mystic Quest Legend. Like, so many people hate that game. Sure, it's a basic beginner RPG, and I know the lore behind it about why the Japanese made it for, like, they made it as an introduction to the RPGs for the Western market. But I don't think it's a bad game. It's a bit basic. It's a very easy game, but it's not a bad game. A friend of mine theorizes that everyone hates that game because even though it's the basic kind of introduction to RPGs, they were just shit at it and weren't able to finish it, so they hate it. We got kind of both to an extent, Biz. The reason for that is our Super Nintendo looks like the Super Famicom. The cartridges look like the Super Famicom cartridges, but the controllers look like the Super Famicom ones. They've got the 4 different buttons, the one I'm using right now. But it was called the Super Nintendo. So for all intents and purposes, it looks and kind of works exactly like the Super Famicom, but it's still called the Super Nintendo. So yeah, our cartridges are, yeah, even on the box. Well, no, not on the box. Our box art and stuff like that. Our box art for the games is pretty much very similar to yours, and the box art for the console and all is very similar to yours. I love the Super Famicom Japanese box art though for the console, like with the cool lines and stuff, the colorful lines. That's gorgeous. But no, ours doesn't look like that. One thing I do really love about the PAL boxes, like the cool thing about the boxes for the Super Nintendo games is they're different in every region. The American ones and the European ones are kind of similar because they generally share the same box art. But they're the same style of box and all that too, same shape, same all that. But almost every one of the American boxes is a black box. And then you've just got like a little cutout of the art on there. Almost every PAL box is actually different colors. Like the Super Nintendo, when you look at the box art for Secret of Mana here, it's very green because it's got the tree, it's got all the forest and all around it. So the Secret of Mana box is actually green. The entire thing is green. And there's so many other games as well that it's almost like the box art spills onto the entire box because of the color. Whereas in America, they're almost all just black boxes with the art put on them. And of course, the Japanese boxes are completely different size and shape and orientation, so that's a whole other story. But I love them as well for so many reasons. They're smaller. The way they do the art and all is cool. So I'm not gonna complain. Are there enough Euro-only SNES games? That's a good question. There's a decent amount, but the big problem is the genres that you may or may not like. I mean, if you're just talking RPGs, no, there's not enough RPGs to a lot of. Like, I don't know, Mickey Mania. Think like World of Illusion, or oh wow, why did my stream just kind of mess up for a second there? Oh well, it's fine now. There's a lot of side-scrolling platformer games and side-scrolling shooter games and stuff like that that are European exclusive. So if you like those, you're probably in. The big problem is money. They're typically not very expensive, but there's a lot of them, or a decent amount of them. You know what? I was trying to figure out what I'm going to call these people, but I think I got it. We have a name. My start button is kind of finicky at this point. I had to press that like 4 times to get it to register. old controllers, you know. These things have seen more use than you'd realize. Here's a fun. Speaking of old controllers that have seen some things. It's not this specific Super Nintendo controller I'm using, but it's one of the other ones I have that I still have to this day. There's actually teat marks in the cable. And I know what you're thinking, it's like, why are the teat marks in the cable? Well, I didn't just bite it when I got angry, but let me tell you a little story. Let me weave you a little yarn of some Q lore here. Long time ago, I think I've told the story once before actually, but a long time ago, back when I was playing, oh wait a minute, she has a kung fu suit, so I need that. When I was playing Mortal Kombat on the Super Nintendo, I was pretty good. I was pretty good at it. And I got up, got pretty confident, got pretty cocky, I was pretty able for it. So eventually one day I was playing it on the hardest difficulty. And I got to the endurance matches, which are the ones near the end, right before Goro and Shao Kahn, where you have to fight 2 enemies with full health bar each, only on one of your health bars. Now, the problem with that is that one of them involves Sub-Zero. No matter who you pick, one of them always involves Sub-Zero. Or at least, as far as I know, they're always the same per character, I should say. Oh, I need to change her AI. And Sub-Zero, on the harder difficulty, could freeze you and juggle you over and over. So eventually I got so mad at it that I actually bit the controller cord and just started pulling it around violently. And I flew across the room. My mouth hurt a little bit. I thought nothing much of it. But then I went downstairs a few minutes later to get a cold drink because, well, my mouth hurt. And that's when my mother screamed, what was wrong with me? I'm like, what are you talking about? So she just says to me, you've got blood all over your face. So I look in the mirror. I have blood all over my chin, all around my mouth. When I went flying across the room from violently shaking the cable, one of my teeth flew out. So, yeah, that was a fun story for a kid. Well, I mean, I was like 8 or 9 years old, so I mean, it was due to fall out anyway. So, I guess that's the first time I ever raged at a game. Probably. You carve dumb shit into your dresser over a game. Yeah, we're just passionate about it, that's all it is. Good times though, good times. Funny enough, I told that story once. There's, back when I used to read Kotaku like 5 years ago, because, I mean, Kotaku in current year, am I right? But they were doing an article about, it's like, tell us your biggest video game rage stories. And I put that in the comment section. It actually made the article. Now, you'll have to try find the article. It's like 4 or 5 years old. And there's about 20, maybe 25 stories in it. But if you can ever find that article, it's actually featured in there. Oh, her weapon skill is up. So we will give her a sword. Oh no, spear. But hey, it's all in good fun, am I right? I mean, it's only a toot. I had another whole set, so... Oh good, I can use sword now. That'll free up the glove for her. I think I might finally actually start on my little project. I wanted to build up a big collection of all, like, basically stream all the classic JRPGs that I love so much. Now, I've actually streamed this before, believe it or not, but I love it so much I want to do it again. But there's so many others that I also want to do. And I kind of put them off because they're big, long games. just playing this and how good it is, how much I love it, I kind of want to just start it. Which is kind of a shame. I should have streamed Secret of Evermore when I played that last year. Oh well. What was the SCART cable that me and GSP were talking about? It's kind of... See, I know the conversation you're referring to, but I'm not 100% sure on which part. Because I know we had one... I'm not going to pick the elbow pads. I'm going to wait and I'll get the stuff in the next town. It's better efficiency that way. We have the Framemeister. I'm pretty sure we both have Framemeisters. So that's like the video upscaler thing and all as well. So what you can do is he bought something called... there's a company in the UK called Retro Gaming Cables UK that make really good quality RGB SCART cables. And they have different types of sync and all that. That's probably the one you're talking about, the C-Sync cable and all that stuff. So he put that, just like I do with some of my old consoles, into the Framemeister to get the best RGB quality out of it. And then that outputs HDMI. Now, that's not what I'm doing with this game right now. But that's probably the conversation you're on about. Is there a SCART to HDMI? Kind of. You can get ones that are... Usually you'd get a video converter and whatnot. And there's probably cables with them automatically built into it in the middle somewhere. But the all-in-one cable solutions can be patchy at best. A friend of mine got it's basically an N64 SCART to HDMI cable. It literally just changes the picture to a digital HDMI output. It's got a little box in the middle that transfers the signal. It gives them a little bit of problems. Well, I shouldn't say a little bit of problems. It's more so it makes the picture really bright. So it does wash out some of the colors. Because all-in-one solutions are never as good. But, having said that, the convenience for a lot of people is paramount. I mean, people like me and teenagers, GSP and whatnot, as much as we talk about all this stuff, we're not the target market for your average consumer product. We're insane. So, we'll spend all the extra money to get that weird stuff, the best picture quality, all that. But let's face it, who wants to buy a €300 video upscaler just to play retro games? Most people would be happy with a PlayStation Mini, a SNES Mini, a NES Mini, or hell, even their old console with a cable that would just go to HDMI. Oh wait, I have her with me. I don't need to come in here. Whoops. So you should just buy any system that Analog comes out with instead of trying to figure out what cable. Well, I'm not going to tell you to do that, but there are definitely advantages to it. There are definitely advantages to it. The Analog systems are easier. They're definitely easier, and they're arguably better. The FPGA, it depends on where you look, because some people say that putting the Super Nintendo with the proper cables through the Framemeister and all is the 100% picture quality. Some people will say the FPGA is 100% picture quality. There's like two different schools on it when it comes to the opinion. So that's why I would always just say, to be honest, your FPGA analog system is probably your best option. Like, look at me, I have a Super Nintendo. I have RGB cables for my Super Nintendo. I have a Super NT. I have a Framemeister. I technically wouldn't need one or the other. I could just use one or the other. A Framemeister is usually for someone who wants to not just use one retro console with all the upgrades and updates and all that, but they have multiple systems. If you just want to focus on one system, analog is definitely the way to go. I mean, here's a good comparison for you actually. About 4 or 5 months ago, I pre-ordered Analog's new console, the Mega SG, the Mega Drive Genesis Master System one. Now, I have a FrameMeister. I had a FrameMeister before that even went up for pre-order. I have a Mega Drive 2 to be specific. So realistically, with my RGB cables for that, I shouldn't need to buy that. But the main reason I would say that the analog FPGA systems are probably the best option is that I realize original hardware and its exact output and all that stuff has its advantages. But let's face it, it's still outputting a low quality analog signal that has to be done. Has to be, you know, processed and all that stuff. Whereas the Super NT and the analog systems don't. This is gonna be tough. Yeah, I was gonna say, especially if she's gonna get rocked over and over. Nice one. We saved it. The company that makes the FrameMeister. Well, here's what I found. Right, the company that makes the FrameMeister. So originally, it was announced that they were going to stop making them, but there was a caveat on that. They were originally stopped making the FrameMeister because the company who makes the video processing chips inside them was no longer making those video processing chips. However, the company, I think it's called Sunsoft Microsystems or something like that, Sun Micron Systems, I don't remember. I'm getting it mixed up with like the Java company or whatever it is. But they said, oh, to next level, 4XP, okay. They bought all the remaining chips so they could continue making them. Now, based on production and how popular they were at the time and all that stuff, they said that they will easily have enough to develop into late 2018, if not early 2019. It remains to be seen how many have been sold since then, how many they can still make and all that stuff. They are still available on the official websites and third-party websites and stuff. So I think that they still have enough. They have said that there will probably be, let's call it an updated FrameMeister, if you will, in the future. When that happens, who knows? Will I buy one? Probably not. Mainly because, come on, I spent all that money on a FrameMeister. If Analog are going to start putting out all the consoles, why am I going to need a FrameMeister? I remember I linked you to the retro AVS. I mean, that's your FPGA NES right there. Super NT, FPGA SNES. Mega SG, that's your FPGA Master System and Sega Genesis / Sega Mega Drive. Who knows what they're going to come out with next? Everyone reckons it's going to be a TurboGrafx 16. Have I looked at the OSSC? Yeah, that's the open source scan converter. Apparently it's a little bit under it's a little bit under the FrameMeister in quality, but it's also significantly cheaper. So again, that's a viable option for a lot of people. The best person to talk about that is talk to GSP about it. He actually has one of those. He was using that before he bought the FrameMeister recently. The big problem with the OSSC, or not so much a problem, but the big difference is that the FrameMeister actually has a video processing and scaling chip inside it, whereas the OSSC is literally just a line doubler or a line tripler. Yeah, I completely agree. The FrameMeister is a big investment. That's why I'm saying it's not for everyone. So, I mean, if you're only looking to do 1 or 2 consoles, it's probably... Oh, stream, don't you skip on me. Don't you skip on me. I have, I believe it's 23 consoles. And how many of them are analog only? Like old school retro consoles. So I can get use out of that. But not everyone could. Not everyone could get their money's worth out of it. Beaver, what are you doing here? Only refined people of culture and taste are typically seen in here. How do the 32-bit consoles look upscaled? Well, that's good. Your mileage will vary. There's a big reason why your mileage will vary on that. And it's mainly because if the game is in 3D or not. Like if you look at, let me give a good example. Metal Gear Solid with proper scaling and all like that looks rough. Now I'm not talking the PS1 classic that we played on recently. I'm talking, you know, put through either the PlayStation 3 because that actually has a good PS1 emulator in it, or even put through the FrameMeister. That game is rough. Early 3D games are rough. But then you have other games which are like very high quality sprites and stuff like that, like Vandal Hearts or Suikoden. They still use the old school style and they look great, especially when upscaled. Is this a mobile? Come on, Beaver. Come on. I mean, I could buy microtransactions to jump to top level. I can buy the weapon orbs and the weapon skills. I can buy all the spells, all that, you know. Although, you want to know something that's kind of funny? There actually is mobile ports of this game. So, they ported it to iOS, and then a few years later they ported it to Android. They changed the graphical style and all that stuff, which really annoyed me. But here's the kicker. I blindly, because, you know, lol Apple, and I have no need for lol Apple. When I found out that this was coming out on iOS, I never looked at it once. Not a single time in the 3 or 4 years it was out on Apple. So, that was that. Then it came to Android. It was, of course, the same port that was on the Apple devices and stuff like that. But here's the kicker. I blindly bought it because, well, it's my favorite game of all time. Not knowing for all those years, those 2 or 3 years, whatever it was, that they actually had changed the art style and changed the graphics. And then when I booted it up and played the game, I absolutely hated what they did to it. I still have it installed on my phone because I installed it on my old phone. When I got my new one, it transferred everything across. So, the blind fandom is real. Well, Beaver, I mean, I have an excuse. Well, Biz, I should say. You people and your B names, come on. I have an excuse. It is my favorite game of all time, so let me have that one at least. And why are you eating Pokemon cookies, Beaver? I know you hate Pokemon. With the Pokemon and the Bill Cosby jokes? Are they played out at this point? I don't know. I mean, I'm playing Pokemon Pearl on my downtime sometimes now. Oh, the Tokyo Snacks box. Okay, I thought that was only. I thought Chicky got that one. I didn't realize you got it as well. He took a picture of it. Going to identify this Pokemon. I will gladly identify that Pokemon on when I get on back onto Discord. Actually, you know what? I can check Discord on my phone as we go. Oh, I'm trying to kill stuff with one hand here. That sounds so wrong. Oh, there's no picture. I'm thoroughly disappointed. But then again, why am I disappointed? I should have known that Beaver is utter disappointment. 210. Would not try to identify a Pokemon again. Now these are a bit of a problem. Well, that's if you stop to try to kill them all at least. Kill it! Yeah, I was wondering what that whole... Oh, great, a punch glove. I was wondering what the whole stream me thing was. It just kind of died out of nowhere. Oh, 2 down. Don't let him replicate. No! He replicated. I mean, there's no benefit to killing these. We'll just skip them. YouTube really is the future. I mean, I get asked a lot why I don't stream on Twitch. It's actually because YouTube is better quality. That's the main reason. YouTube has basically an unlimited bitrate, basically. Now, that doesn't make a difference on retro games. I realize that. But I play a lot of PC games and all too, and obviously when you're streaming PC games, you want the high quality settings. You want that super secret extra level of tessellation. You want that one extra grain of salt, and one extra grain of soil, and one extra blade of grass. And you need to be able to accurately see that. Well, that and, you know, not look like ass at 60 frames per second. Hang on. That picture was posted. That is Alolan Marowak. That cookie you're eating is Alolan Marowak. From Pokemon Sun and Moon Gen 7 on the 3DS. You're welcome. What did you say, Biz? Like Cubone? Pikachu? Come on. Poison needles. Why is every chest I'm open nowadays is a trap? You called him Bonosaurus Head. I mean, you're pretty close. I can just picture Biz being like that meme or the Vine or whatever it was. Where it's like, who's that Pokemon? And it shows something that's clearly not Pikachu. And it says, it's Pikachu! Then it says, I think it's Clefairy. It's like, fuck! This is like one of those old people, the parents, where you ask them the name of different Pokemon, and you'll show them 100 different Pokemon. They'll call them all Pikachu except for Pikachu. Arguably a little envious though. Ye have all the like licensed foods and all that. We don't have any of that crap here. Oh, definitely Biz. Definitely, they're all the Nintendo. It's like, you have the Nintendo? Which? The new Nintendo. They're all Nintendo, all Pokemon are Pikachu. There's a bunch of other ones that aren't coming to mind right now. Do you know how confusing that was when I worked in GameStop? It's like, oh, do you have that for the Nintendo? The Wii, the DS, the Wii U, the 3DS? What's going on here? Help me out. The Nintendo. They're all Nintendo. The new one. There's 2 new ones. I swear to God, every single chest is a trap. Here we go. Here we go, fam. That totally actually worked. I was gonna say it totally didn't work, but... we good. We good. 126 and 217. See, I have to call... There's 3 characters in this game, and I have to call the other character, I have to name them after teenagers. Because Bieber and Biz, you 2 are in my Pokemon game. So he gets this one. Was working at GameStop the living hell like the internet would have you believe? Yes and no, 50-50. Did I marry myself to Chicky in the game? No, I didn't. I just needed a female character's name. Yeah, Beaver, you're my rival in Pokemon Pearl. So how it worked was, you pick a rival. So you're the rival. Then because I play the other game for a bit, and I transfer the starter Pokemon across. Oh, this is painful. So what I did was I named the other trainers from the other games and the other accounts after people. So because one of them could be female, one of them managed to be Chicky. And then the other one was, I flipped a coin between Biz and teenagers. Biz won, so he is now. And we're poisoned again. Okay, poison doesn't kill you, so I need to get out of here before one of them hits me once. And yeah, so because of that, teenagers is now the last character. I just don't know how I'm going to fit his name in. I might just call him Hello, or HFT. I can't put his actual name here. I'm not a doxer, dude. Cobra Kai, dude. I haven't actually watched Cobra Kai. I probably should eventually. I would have assumed that you already would have watched it based on the Cobra Kai Do or Die. Right, we need full gear, full upgrades. Rocking that 1 HP life. Now see, Biz, you're storing up a hornet's nest right there. So, based on your comment there, I'm gonna go with Danielson. Messed it all up. There's wild theories out there that he's the bad guy, you know? No, I'm not one of those. I'm just messing with you. Take it to Reddit. Come on, Biz, let's be real. You know I only take my discussions and my theory craft and my lore to the highest quality of places. You know I only take to 3 different places. Twitter, Nintendo forums, and Reset Era. Come on, you know that. Where I can get the highest quality of logical debate. 8chan exclusively. No, I'm not THQ. To the Comic-Cons. Well, I'm going to Comic-Con this Friday, so... Yeah. I know you know that, but... Just throwing it out there. Lightning talk session. I mean... I'm going to assume that's the Final Fantasy 13 Lightning, rather than, like, quick talk Lightning. I've actually met Lightning, so... I'm not sure if that's all too real or hitting a bit too close to home. Am I going to live stream it? No, I'm not going to live stream being at Comic-Con. Although I'll probably post a couple of things on Discord and Twitter and whatnot. For the gram. Hashtag sorry not sorry. Although, you know, I don't use Instagram, but my jokes. So much sausage, like a southern tailgate. It's like an Irish house party. I know what a tailgate is. It's basically a car park party. My people? What does that make your people then, Biz? Old people? I mean, you live in Florida, everyone has to be old. You're just jealous. You're just jealous you don't have a sweet accent. Oh, well, okay, so your people are the white trash, okay. But I'm sure he does, Beaver. I'm sure it's completely by choice. Not his choice, you know, the government's choice, or, you know, it's a family's choice, but there's a choice involved there. It's a retirement home of white trash. Yeah, I always heard it was God's waiting room. Government mandated, yeah. It's like Soylent Green. When you hit a certain age, you just get sent to Florida. Infowars.com/biscuits. Oh, I bet, Biz, with those Everglades, I mean, you're in some serious trouble. Just wait till it runs out of frogs and starts moving on to the gators. Sweet refund, though. Refunded me the whole thing, at least. before I go out here. Is this game on Switch asking for a friend? Sigh. You know, actually, people, technically it is. They released the Japanese collection of the 3 games in the trilogy, but it was never released outside of Japan. So technically, yes, it is on Switch. And you wanna know something about it? Beaver, old buddy, old pal. Even though it's Japanese only, yes, I imported a copy of it. Because as my favorite game of all time that I've played about 1,000,000 times, I don't need the English to know everything about this game. Is it the only song in the game? It was the town's team, you know? Of course it was going to play over and over. Oh yeah, I'm burning through it, Kuro. I'm doing some serious speed here. I have this game down to a science, basically. And boss done. I know, like, when I like to buy items, where I like to buy them, when, blah, 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 all that. It's the good stuff. I mean, based on the time and how long I'm going to keep going, I would say I'll probably make second palace. Probably. I might, it might be a stretch, but if I might make it to the Upperlands. That's a bit of a stretch, though. Tropicalo. As a child, that name used to give me so much difficulty trying to pronounce it. Tropicalo. That was one thing about a lot of these games as a kid, actually. There was no set definition, so no set pronunciation for a lot of stuff. Trying to pronounce Sephiroth as a kid was a nightmare. Okay, so I have to name the sprite after teenagers. Since we have up to 6 letters long, I could either call him Hello, or I think we're just gonna go with the obvious one. Oh, you completely predicted it, Beaver. I saw her today, actually. We exchanged a very brief and a very polite hello and a smile. I was in a foul mood today, so that was always going to happen. I love how after you beat Tropicalo, the second boss, your arsenal just skyrockets. Before this, you've got 3 weapons. You get 3 more and 2 upgrades. Just like that. Just so close. Oh, it's about planting the seeds, Beaver. Planting the seeds. You have to watch it grow and nurture, mature, and then you're in. Did she say nice to meet you? We've spoke before, Biz. We've spoke before. Admittedly, I did forget to ask her name. Oh no, she doesn't work in the gym. Oh, I know where that one's going. Oh, okay, I was wrong, Kuro. I was about to say I know where that one's going. Thought it was a different quote. You got me. You got me. Oh yeah, you haven't seen it, Biz? It's brickin' PS4s. Okay, I have all her stuff as well. I need to get her the other item. Okay. Looking promising. Keeping him with the sword. He can hang with the rang. I'll give her the spear because it's about to be upgraded. Well, I don't blame you, Beaver. Never a bad time with the Q-Man involved. And besides, you don't have to fire people here. Although you do have people constantly criticizing you and saying that they don't have to improve in any way. It's okay though. I don't have a fragile ego, so I can take it. I mean, come on, let's be real. I'm Irish. I'm impossible to offend, so. Don't worry, lads. This song will be gone in about 30 seconds. I don't know why you don't like it, but... don't worry, I can always come back here later in the game when you miss the song. Damn it, I need to stop mashing the button. Oh, nice. 100% Donkey Kong Country 2. That's quite the accomplishment. If you're going to move on to Donkey Kong Country 3, that's even harder. Okay, I need to upgrade my spear. Yeah, they can be rough, but at least it's worth it once it's done. Well, I mean, Biz, you must have missed the note, because Dragon Quest on PC had that available from day one. There was a mod to remove there was a mod to add the orchestral soundtrack on day one. So, game, set, and match, boyo. Also, I love how you said "for us," implying that you're going to be playing on the Switch. So you're one of them then, Beaver, are you? Biz, you're one of them. Biz, there we go. not with us, you're against us. I hope you're ecstatic, Biz. Later this month, you could potentially have a port. That's right, a late port, 3 years late port of one of the greatest games of all time, possibly put onto your system. Yeah, the orchestral music is actually fantastic. It completely feels so much better than the game. Dragon Quest music is always really good. The composer is really good, even if he's a stingy bastard with his music. I mean, he recorded the entire thing with an orchestra specifically for the game and wouldn't put it in the game. Because I'm pretty sure you founded that. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. I need to go back and get something. I'm pretty sure you founded that Reddit. What's a good Dragon Quest game to start with? Yeah, pick up a copy of Dragon Quest 8 for 3DS. Well, Dragon Quest are like Final Fantasy. You can play them in any order. They're not linked. So, now, a lot of people say Dragon Quest 8 is the best one. A lot of people say Dragon Quest 11 is fantastic, so you could almost argue that that's the best one. And there's another early one that I don't remember the exact number because it didn't come out over here. At least not back in the day. I know they're re-releasing them all on like different platforms and stuff. That's a very, very popular one. But I can't quote you on exactly what one it is. So if Dragon Quest 8 is a good start anyway. You're definitely not going into a bad one. It's his choice because he's a renowned composer like outside of Square Enix. So they're kind of contracting it out to him, if you will. Even though he consistently does it, but I'm losing track of what I'm trying to do here. There we go. It's like Nobuo Uematsu, and the reason why Final Fantasy VIII is not ported to any other platform or any modern system or anything like that. There's a licensing agreement or licensing disagreement, you could call it, for one specific song in one specific scene in Final Fantasy VIII. Square Enix aren't willing to renegotiate the license based on whoever's terms. I think it's an Uematsu term. And yeah, that's why Final Fantasy VIII isn't on the Xbox One, PS4, or Switch. I just don't get it. I just don't get why he's so stingy with the music. I mean, does he want people to buy the soundtracks or something? I mean, that I could understand, but... Yeah, it's a very weird situation. The problem is, when these games were made, and their music and all was... The music agreements and the licensing and all was done, they weren't able to foresee potentially needing to redo licenses to port them forward to other platforms again and again and again and again. So it can get messy. Oh, good, we have all our armor. Rest and save it. That way if something does go wrong, we'll be able to go straight into where we need to go now with all the armor upgrades and everything. I really don't think they're going to add them to Smash. I mean, when you look at everyone that wants everything in Smash, I mean, by this logic, we'd have Goku in Smash, we'd have Dragon Quest in Smash, we'd have everything in Smash. It is entirely possible, of course, but I really don't I really don't think so. I really don't think they'll add him into it. Too much of an edgy teen, thought it was a love story. From Final Fantasy VIII. You're partially not wrong. You're partially not wrong. I hate Final Fantasy VIII, to be honest. I consider there to be I don't know, you know what, I won't say bad. But I would consider Final Fantasy VIII to be one of the worst mainline Final Fantasy games. I always have to be very careful with the word in there. I don't want to say one of the bad ones. I would say it's borderline bad. There's so many significant bad things about it. But it's not 100% bad. I actually have it installed because I do want to finally finish it at some point. Spear reaches level 2. Nice one. She can change. My sword's not level 2, is it? No. A couple more kills. There's a new rumor based on a Square Enix rep. I haven't seen that. I know everyone was going crazy for when the Nintendo Direct recently. It's like, oh, it was retweeted by Square Enix. Dragon Quest and Smash confirmed. It's not how it works, especially considering they showed off a bunch of other Square Enix games in that presentation. And that's why they were promoting it, but yeah, I just have some significant beefs with Final Fantasy VIII. The whole combat and junction thing being probably the biggest one. I mean, the draw system is tedious within itself. But then, the fact that you have to junction it... Actually, I just spoke about this with a friend less than a week ago. That because you have to junction it to your stats and all that, it actually encourages you not to use your magic. Because it will downgrade your stats on the fly as you use it. I think that's a bit of a poor design. Or you could argue it's about balance, but I think it's a poor design for a Final Fantasy game. Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff in the Square Enix Directs, a lot of Square Enix stuff in the Nintendo Directs lately. The big problem is they're all just late ports. I mean, whoopee. We get to play Final Fantasy VII for the 600th time. Yeah, proper sequel to Super Mario RPG would be pretty legit. I don't care what anyone says. Some people say it's the Paper Mario series. Some people say it's the... what is it? Mario and Luigi series on like DS and 3DS and stuff. No. Give me a proper Super Mario RPG co-developed by Square Enix. And then we can talk. Just do it proper. Don't give us Octopath Traveler or anything like that. That's just trying to... Don't give us Lost Sphere. Don't give us I Am Setsuna. Because all these games were just trying to cash in on nostalgia and not actually be quality games. However, Square Enix have trademarked the visual style, the 2D HD thing, or whatever they called it. HD 2D. They've trademarked that, so expect to see a bunch more games in that style with that art style. And especially because they've pretty much confirmed, without 100% confirming, that the next game that looks like Octopath Traveler will be multiplat. Which will make the Switch fanboys very unhappy. But I mean, that's one thing about... let's call it the modern Square Enix games that come to the Switch. if you play them objectively, they're not very good games. Like the mechanics and all in them, the quality of the story, the quality of the characters, the writing and all, it's pretty poor. That they're really just trying to capitalize on the art style. So yeah, you've played I Am Setsuna, so let me guess, you saw it and you could really feel the Chrono Trigger vibe that they were clearly trying to portray. Just like, what's the other one, Lost Sphere? I mean, the entire marketing for that game was, hey look, it's Chrono Trigger, because we're not making a new Chrono Trigger game. And apparently when you play the game, if you played actual RPGs and you're just not blinded by the fanboyism, you realize it's not a very good game. Like you said, mediocre at best. And apparently Lost Sphere is even worse. Oh, weapon skill up. Arrow reaches level 1. That's good, she can change again. No, they didn't make ActRaiser. Enix made ActRaiser. So technically they do own the IP now. For ActRaiser 1 and 2. She can go with the boomerang, I think. So yeah, oh, nice axe level up. So realistically it's the same thing. They didn't make them on a Super Nintendo, but they own the license to them now. Spear it is. Oh no, I'll go with the bow. We'll get it out of the way. Speaking of taxes, that's a good reminder, Biz, actually. I do need to... ActRaiser was one of the games I needed to buy and add to the collection. Unfortunately, with all the collective being on hold at the moment, it's not coming, but it will be something I actually have. I have a small list of games that I actually really want to add, and that's on there. I actually forgot about ActRaiser. Like when you were talking about what was one of the PAL RPGs on a Super Nintendo back in the day, I actually forgot about that. So they own Lufia and Ogre Battle. I'll take your word for it. I don't know who owned Lufia. I'm gonna guess it's Enix based on your comment, but I could have sworn they always owned Ogre Battle. I could be wrong, but I could have sworn on the N64 they owned Ogre Battle. But I know they definitely own Ogre Battle now because they released the game on the PSP. And that was a Square Enix one. You're scared to death of the Chrono of a potential Chrono remake or the Final Fantasy VII remake. Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I want them to get it right. I want them to get it right so much. But I have so little faith based on everything they've done over the last few years. And based on the remake of my own personal favorite game of all time. I mean, it just doesn't inspire confidence at this point. Now, don't get... I'm going to buy it. I want it to be very good. I want it to be successful. It's probably not going to happen. Well, it'll be successful because everyone will buy Final Fantasy VII Remake blindly. Myself included. This is bad. I need to land that in there before we die. Like 2 hours of it on Steam a couple of years ago for Final Fantasy VII. Let's see, 2 hours on Steam, where do you get... The problem with Final Fantasy VII for newcomers is this game has been built up by so many people and all that. So if you're a newcomer into Final Fantasy VII, you're probably expecting balls to the wall, top tier right from the get-go. The big problem is you realistically have to play for about 6 hours to get to all of that. to get to where the hype was, essentially. Like, I still think the start of the game is still very good, and it's paced really well, and it's done really well. But if you've been listening to 20 years of hype, yeah, I could understand where it's a little bit different. Maybe wait for the remake? Possibly? Oh my god, I didn't buy any Cups of Wishes. Oh, this is gonna be rough. I'll manage. Okay, spear. She can go to the axe soon. He can go to the glove soon. And remember, anyone who says, "Oh, I remember when Final Fantasy VII released in America, 7/7/97," is lying. Because the game didn't come out on 7/7/97 in America. It came out on the 7th of the 9th. It came out on September 7th in 1997 in the US. Now, what was he doing? He was going glove. Does she need to go axe yet? Not yet, by the looks of it. But now she can go axe. You know, I could get hit by one of these beams just as a little teaser, but I won't. I'll tell you what happens, but if one of these eyes hits you with its little laser, it turns you into a Moogle. You know, Squaresoft, Moogles, Final Fantasy. You remember skipping school and going to Blockbuster to rent it, and that's all you remember. That's those words are pretty sacrilege in the stream biz. When you're in the King of Retro stream, you're on notice right now. Remember that. Speaking them words like that. Oh, here's one for you, Bieber, because you're mentioning the graphics and stuff, and you'd rather it be, say, like pixels, like say Final Fantasy 4 or 6 or whatever. I was going to say Resident Evil. Final Fantasy 7 was the first Final Fantasy game we got here in Europe. First proper Final Fantasy game, at least, anyway. So it was very different to us. We didn't have Final Fantasy 4 and 6 here until later. I didn't try the original one on Steam, Kuro, but I heard all about it. I saw the screenshots and whatnot. I heard of all the crazy patches and all. Now, I own the game now. I bought it a few months ago when it went on sale on Steam. And I know all the patches are out, and it's basically back to the Super Nintendo version with a couple of little minor upgrades. But I've never actually played the Steam version, despite owning it. Stats. We're not close enough to leveling up. What a sprite might. I'm gonna see how much GP I have first, and we can work from there. Okay, I have lots. That's promising. Although he does double charge for this crap, so. I think we'll be fine. We'll probably be fine. I'll even buy some chocolate just because. I think I can spare it. I'm feeling kind of ballsy. just to be safe, I'm going to save it anyway. Oh, when it comes to the backgrounds in 7, Biz, there's a special place in my heart for that game, so I'll never not be able to love everything about it. Because for me, because I was, you know, European and all that stuff, that was the real first jump from Super Nintendo RPGs to 3D PS1 RPGs. What weapon was I using? Oh, it was a spear. I mean, it has a special place in my heart. I mean, there's nothing I'm not gonna lie about it, I'm not gonna try to get around it, I'm not gonna try to justify it. It's just, that's what it is to me. I wish they would not get caught on that treasure chest. Why does everything look so terrible? Yeah, it had that horrible, like, Vaseline filter and just everything about it at the same, like, all the edges and all. It's the same with some of the Final Fantasy ports on Steam as well. I think it's 5 and 6, or is it 4? I think it's 5 and 6. But they have that horrible updated one that is basically the ones they put on mobile. Those are awful. How far did it get with the N64 version? The N64 version of what? There's nothing I could do. I don't know. I don't know, Beaver. I'm gonna have to... I don't recall ever almost saying that. As far as I know, for Final Fantasy VII at least, anyone, the N64 yeah, I almost got the names wrong there. And then I corrected myself and did it wrong anyway. But as far as I remember, they basically tried to do it, and then just realized we can't do this, and just bounced over to Sony. So I'd say it was in extremely early anything. Probably just like the project and planning stage, and then they just realized this can't happen on this console. From what I understand, technically it could have happened on the console with a couple of... Well, hang on, what's the best way to word it? The power wasn't the problem, from what I understand. Because obviously the N64 is more powerful than the PS1. It couldn't have done video, and there's obviously the storage capacity limitations of the cartridges, so there would have been no video. And they said that if they made a cartridge big enough back then, it would have cost like $1,200 at the time. Okay, so my spear is still fine. She can move to the sword. And he can move to the spear. No, move to the axe. Because I'm on the spear. Oh, there's another one for you, Biz. You asked earlier, Earthbound never came out over here either. Why do I always forget Earthbound? Yeah, Earthbound never released here. So as much as Earthbound costs in the box. Only if you buy the big box. Only if you buy the big box. The small box well, the cartridge is like $180. The normal box, I don't even know. But if you go for the big box, yeah, that's... Remember, I think I told you guys when I found one fairly recently, like last year. I think it was €600 for a complete big box version of Earthbound. Guide and everything. Yeah, I think there's a normal box. I think the big box is only... Well, the big box is like the publicized one that everyone sees nowadays. But I'm pretty sure there's just normal box versions. Let's see. Sure, Final Fantasy VII looks dated, but it was pretty amazing graphically speaking back in the day. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was saying, Cora. I completely agree that you can't judge it by modern standards, especially. That's why it's kind of unfair if a person is going into it for the first time now. And just what I was saying, when you compare it to the fact that it was the first big jump to 3D RPGs back then. It was from the Super Nintendo, for Europeans at least anyway. It was something special. Oh, we'll have to look into it, Biz. We'll have to look into if there's a big box or small box. Because I know it's like Super Metroid. I have Super Metroid, I have the big box one because it came with the guide too. But there are some big box games. As far as I know, Super Metroid didn't have a small box here in Europe, at least anyway. But there are some games that have both a big box and a small box. Now, obviously, the big box versions are sexy AF, but... they're also expensive AF. I think I only have one big box game, actually. I think my only big box game is Super Metroid. Oh, they didn't release it without the strategy guide in the US? Okay, I was wrong on that one then. I could have sworn it. Maybe the ones I've seen were just repro boxes for people that just had a cartridge. Oh, we just nailed 3 of us. And he's just completely snacking on me here. Who's he? Yeah. Luckily, I've got all of these. Oh, come on. Look how far away I was. I can't fault old school hitboxes. Damn it, that one dropped on me. Give me a second, I'll get back to chat after we kill the boss. Come on, get up, get up, get up. I need to shoot. Arrow. Oh no, I'm on the... It didn't change back. Oh, come on. That was unfortunate timing. Well, see, Biz, I am the king of retro. You have to remember that. There was only impersonators. Often imitated, never replicated. I'm the D'Lo Brown of King of Retros. I'm the real deal. Of course, he'd hit me with that, wouldn't he? Got it. I just... Hurry up and die, I'm running out of herbs. Or candy. I say maybe 1 or 2 more hits. Always knocks me unconscious. Come on, come on, come on. Kill shot, kill shot. Oh. Oh no. Oh, that's bad. Don't die. No! He died! You... No XP! Damn it! worst possible time for that to happen. See, the fact that it was so expensive was part of the reason people say it flopped. I'm almost positive it only came with it. I assume you mean Earthbound? Like, I'm not 100% up on the Earthbound side of it because it never came out here, so... Oh yeah, I'm the same. I only have the card for Earthbound. I don't have the box. But I got lucky. Some of my more expensive games, not all of them, but some of them, I bought a long time ago, just as the Super Nintendo was dying and like the PS1 and PS2 were current. So I got them cheap. So I'm lucky on that front. So, I mean, 400, 500, 600 euro for a big box, or... You know, I paid like 25 euro for my Earthbound cartridge. I paid maybe like 25 euro for my Chrono Trigger cartridge. A Chrono Trigger box copy is like 250 nowadays. So, I mean, the trade-off is fine there for me. Because I was born the king of retro. And we got a whip, new weapon. Did we have Funko Land over there? Remember the 90s, almost all NES games were under $5. No, we didn't have Funko Land. My only experience with Funko Land is from hearing American YouTubers and just you guys talking about it. Like, the guys from Cinemassacre are a big version of that, for example. They're always telling you about how when the NES was out, you'd go to Funko Land and pretty much just like you said, you would pick up all the old NES games for like $2 each and stuff. We've only ever had one situation where that kind of stuff happened. Back when GameStop here stopped doing... When they stopped doing PS1, GameCube... I realized they're two different generations, but they had them both in stock at the same time. PS1, PS2, GameCube, OG Xbox. When they stopped doing those games, they sold them off dirt cheap. I remember going into... They had a copy of Legend of Dragoon, which I didn't own when it was current. But... Like, I played it a good bit anyway. Like, my uncle had it and one of my friends had it, so I did get to play it. Oh, I need to check my weapons and stuff here. Oh, you're talking about Earthbound. I was thinking, like, well done, I killed the boss ages ago. But yeah, I can't... It's not like I got a super deal on it or anything. It was just prices at the time. But yeah, they sold off their copies of like Earthbound, not Earthbound, it's just the stream chat has been distracted. No, it was Boomerang, wasn't it? Hang on. I'm slightly distracted. It's late. I can't get my words straight. I can't get anything going on here. I'm slightly distracted. I just want to look at my weapons first before I go back to the rest of it. Okay, that's good. But yeah, they were selling off like PS1 games, GameCube games, PS2 games, all really cheap. I walked in one day and they had like a big stand or a big bin or big collection, whatever you want to call it, of stuff they were selling off cheap. Legend of Dragoon was there, mint condition, €10. And that game has, obviously it's 4 discs, they're all in immaculate condition. And those discs are gorgeous because they each have individual character artwork on them. And they were perfect condition, so that was really good. I picked up Resident Evil Remake for like €4. Resident Evil 4 for, I think it was €2. So they had some really good deals in there when they were doing that. When they were stopping them, they were just selling them off. ASAP, cheap as possible. It was so cool. You could get the this price guide when you walked in. It was like a newspaper. It had the newspaper. Was that that like price guide thing? Was it just for when they were selling off NES games, or is that just like every time you went in there? That was their thing, their price guide for the store. Because that sounds pretty cool. I've always seen something similar to it. Like when you look at it in the retro YouTube scene, you've got so many people that have all these like Christmas catalogs from the 90s and all this stuff. And we had some of them here too, but that's for just a regular store to have one on the regular would be a little bit more impressive. No, boomerang. Let me see when I scroll back up. You wish you bought more games. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Like looking at some of the expensive stuff I bought now, it just makes me wish I had. See, that ties back into the whole thing of I never kind of really got into retro collecting. I've always kind of been in it to an extent, because even when the PS1 was out, the PS2 was out, the OG Xbox, the GameCube, the 360, all that stuff, I was still buying Super Nintendo games on the cheap. I'd find Super Nintendo games wherever and I'd buy them because I still played them. I never once considered it collecting or retro collecting or anything like that. I was just buying games I wanted to play. And then one day when YouTube became really popular, I was like, okay, hang on. This is apparently a hobby, and I'm really... need to rest. No, we don't need to rest here. I just need to save it, which means I went into the wrong one. Let's see. If Halo Infinite is console exclusive to Xbox 2, are you buying an Xbox 2? Well, because I have no self-control and I hate myself, and I need to basically have everything because that's what I do. First off, it's not a console exclusive. It's already announced for Xbox One and PC. I realize if the rumors are true, it will likely be cross-platform or multi-generation with Xbox One, Xbox 2, and PC. I'll be buying it on PC. If there's no other game at launch on Xbox 2 that I want when it's coming out, I'll buy it on that as well. Just for something to have. I'll never buy a console with no game to play. Even if, by default, I'll have it on PC, I'll still have it on thing as well. Let me go back here. What am I looking at? Xbox 2 will be Master Chief compatible, backwards compatibility. Should be the Inception level shit that I will buy. Well, here's how it goes, Bieber. The problem when not so much problem, but the possible advantage of Xbox One and PS4 using modern PC architecture is that when the new consoles come out, they can basically just be upgraded versions of the previous ones and should be able to play the games just fine. So, I mean, you could argue it's backwards compatibility, but they should all work on it just fine. The price guide was for most things. It would change weekly. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool if it was... if they did the paper price guide like every week as the new deals and new changes and stuff like that. I mean, there's places here that do them nowadays, believe it or not, even in this digital age, that they still do those. We get ones every week from places called, I don't know if you have them in America, but there's ones called Lidl or Lidl, depending on how you pronounce it, and Aldi. They're just kind of supermarkets, but they have special deals twice a week. And they still put out paper ones, like they send them out to houses and stuff. You get them every 2 weeks because there's 2 weeks of deals in them. So it's kind of the same thing. Still, it would be nice to... It'd be nice to see or have some of the old school game ones, because I mean, who gives a crap about seeing meat deals and stuff like that? I mean, we're gamers. We want to see how stuff was back then. Oh, that's bad. I think they're gonna die. Weapon skill up. Axe level 1, he can change. Spear. Okay. Oh, why am I on the boomerang? I need to be on the whip. I said spear, didn't I? Yeah. And... Did he... Yes, yes, Beaver. I said meat deals. A lot of the deals and stuff you see on those, the paper ones they send out, are like special prices on meat and special prices on certain foods and things like that. Oh wow, she can only use the whip now, so we're actually kind of behind on that one. Right, boss time! This boss was actually ridiculously easy in the remake. They changed it in such a way that you could basically just constantly wail on him over and over and over. Yeah, it was so strange, wasn't it, Kuro? When you'd start looking around, you might see 1 or 2 retro videos or something online, and then you find people who are pretty much just dedicated to talking about them. Like, whoa, people with these massive collections, which was new and exciting in like 2008, 2010 and whatnot. And especially because I live in Ireland, so, you know, my experience with it was very, very, from like we call it a community side of it, was very, very small. You'd only have the people you knew, that kind of stuff. And then you see all these, so many other people with so many different collections, so much varied stuff, so much everything. It was so eye-opening almost. That's why I don't usually consider myself a collector. I'll use the term just so people can easily identify what I'm talking about. But I typically never consider myself a collector of it. Now, there have been exceptions to that. I've collected a few things specifically, but that's a very small percentage of what I do. And unlike most people, or most collectors, I actually try to play all my stuff. I know, just right as I said that, Beaver and Biz are in chat trying to bang out of something. Oh, Q, your backlog, this, that, and the other, what about all this such and such you were buying and whatnot. Like I said, I try to play all my stuff. I buy them with... I've bought 98% of my games with the intention of playing them. Intention. Keyword. Intention. And he is toast. Quite a good retro gaming scene in Seattle. Oh yeah, Seattle is the hotbed for it, because all the YouTubers moved there because, well, no taxes. They can make all that sweet, sweet money. Or so they think. As far as Metal Jesus, yeah, I used to watch him for a little while. I kind of lost respect for him after one thing, so I stopped watching him for that, really. That and, well, I mean, you can only do so many hidden gems videos before people start getting fed up. And I know a lot about, well, I won't say I know a lot about John Hancock. I know who he is, the immortal John Hancock, as they say. He does the tech side of it, which is really fascinating, which is cool. Oh, I agree, Biz. Nowadays it is. I mean, I've nothing against. I've nothing against any of the YouTubers that I named, or just any of the other ones I haven't named. It's just not for me anymore. I mean, I've basically unsubbed to every main retro gaming YouTuber that I used to follow within the last like 6 months or so. Nowadays, I mostly just, when it comes to retro stuff on YouTube, I mostly just use it for long plays. And the easy way to find a playlist of AVGN. And that's our final weapon, actually. We now have all 8 mana weapons. And our first selection of magic. Ice. Oh, I don't even use them for that, Kuro. I actually watch them. Yeah, if you're trying to do it for a specific project or something, or need specific footage and all, it can be tedious. I believe, to the best of my knowledge, I've only ever used footage from something else once. And that was because I used the Shenmue the movie. I used that when I was making a Shenmue video a long time ago. Back when I actually tried to make a production quality video and it failed horribly. I should go watch that tonight as I go to sleep. That's a funny one. Little bit of Q lore here for everyone involved. If you want a good laugh at probably my first attempt at making an actual production video, I even wrote a script, and I think I still messed it up. Check out I believe it's called my Shenmue retrospective. Yeah, I tried to make a production video once, and it didn't go very well. Let's see, I started following a dude who just opened a retro store, way less of... That actually sounds kind of cool, Biz. Oh wait, I need to check everyone else's weapons too. I think she can move to the whip now. Yeah, move the whip. I think he can stay on the spear. Yeah, he's got plenty on the spear. Now, so there's something I love to do in this game, which, okay, I'm getting hopped off by these enemies. They're juggling me, just completely. Look at this. I realized I could switch character, and you know what, I will. If my select button would work. There we go. So, I like to level up my magic, because I actually use it in combat. Because magic is designed to be used. There are people out there who've never used magic in this game until they get to the very end, and then suddenly they can't use it and they're dead, and it's game over. Because, well, they're bad at games and pretty much everything involved. But I like to level it up, because if you keep your magic appropriately leveled as you go, you can actually do some serious damage. It actually kind of breaks the game, it's that easy. If you do it like that. The raw improv game. Well, that's the hard part. Good thing I know what I'm doing, Bieber, so I can do it all. Oh, a video about Rare, nice. Back when they were Rareware, so that was when they were actually good and weren't making Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves. God damn that game. Why does that game even exist? Rare are such a... They used to be such a top tier developer. And then they just kind of... Well, Microsoft kind of ran them into the ground. Which is such a shame. The funny thing is, Kuro, I remember that. I remember the stream. I don't remember what game it was. I was playing something, and whatever it was, we were talking about retro games and stuff like that, and I brought up a game. I don't remember what the game was, and you mentioned that either you were about to stream it, or you were about to start playing it, or you had just finished playing it. That's all I remember. I remember like when it was. I just don't remember the specific part. How do I feel about SNES Drunk? I've only ever watched a few SNES Drunk videos, but I don't know if they're serious or not. Like, I remember... It's funny enough, actually, I streamed Secret of Mana 2 last year, and because I was uploading that and streaming that, YouTube actually recommended a SNES Drunk video to me. It was, it's like, wait, there's a Secret of Mana 2? Or something along those lines. Or is Secret of Mana 2 worth playing? Or whatever it is. And I watched it. And it was a decent video. And there was one or two... There was one or two other videos in the same... I suppose we could call it series. That I went and watched. Because there were games I loved and I wanted to see what other people thought of them. And I wanted to see stuff like that. That's one thing I always want to see. I always want to see someone who hasn't played some of my favorite games, specifically this, but a few others, play it for the first time. That's something I'd love to see. That's why I always trying to get teenagers fellow teenagers to try this. But now, Beaver, that is slander. That is absolute libel slander. You know, Kuro, that could have been it, because I remember you were there on the... You popped up on the Killer Instinct and Mickey Mania stream on my birthday. I remember that. There was the... I was playing Secret of Mana, because every year on my birthday, I play Secret of Mana and I finish just the very end of it. Because, well, you know, why wouldn't I? And then I remember moving on to Killer Instinct. I did one run through that game, and then I moved to Mickey Mania before the end of it. Oh, that's probably how I got matched with you, if that's the case, Bieber. You probably have Soy Boy listed as one of your profile things, so it matched it up that way. Right. 30 GP a night. So I think based on the time, I'm going to do the next palace, which is pretty much where I predicted we'd get to, the second palace, and finish in around 2 AM. Time-wise, it should be fine. Take a drink here. I've been talking this whole time, barely took anything to drink. Don't worry, I'm not going to be crushing no water bottles into stream, into the microphone or anything. What else we got? Yeah, it was the same stream. This one, Killer Instinct and Mickey Mania all in the same one. Because I remember I was streaming the end of Secret of Mana like I do, like I was saying that I do every year on my birthday. Well, I play it every year on my birthday. I don't always stream it, but I was last year, and I was having fun because, you know, people joined in, people were enjoying it, we were talking, all that stuff. I didn't want it to end, so I decided I'd go and get some other games, and I played some of those just to keep it going. Don't worry, Biz. Don't worry. I know you're itching for that King of Retro merch. I know you live for it, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I just can't. Will I be streaming The Division 2 on release day for the release day numbers? Them day one views, fam. Them day one views. I won't be playing that game at all, much to your dismay. I know you've been trying to get me to play it for the last 600 years. Between that and Destiny 2. I actually messed up. I usually use my magic bite in and then sleep in Pandora. Yes, Biz, that is it. That is correct. No, I will not be playing it on day one. Or at all, for that matter. Besides, I couldn't even if I wanted. It's on the Epic Store. I know, to be honest, I actually have no major deal with the Epic Store in general. Like, a lot of people say, oh, you know, oh, all my games have to be on Steam and all that stuff. No. As long as a store is competent and it has features that can equal or be competitive to another store and doesn't compete in underhanded, backstabbing ways, I have no problem with the store. Stuff like Metro, on the other hand, that was bullshit and I wasn't supporting Metro. Like The Division 2, for example, I have no problem with The Division 2 not being on Steam and being on the Epic launcher. As far as I know, it was originally listed on Steam, but it was a long time ago, or at least a long time before launch, and they didn't just pull it out 2 weeks from before. The funny thing about that, Beaver, is oh, my weapon skill up. I think I can go back to the whip now. But in relation to the first one, I played the first one at launch. Not because I wanted to play it, I think it looked terrible. But my friends were all playing it and I could easily get access to a free copy. So I did. And I played it with them. It was awful, I really did not enjoy it. And then there was a free weekend on Steam for The Division like 2 years later. And I just said, you know what, fuck it, I have a 1080 at this point. I'll try it out, see what it looks like. And with the amount of quality of life improvements and everything else, as well as obviously the performance and visuals, it was significantly better. Not enough for me to play it full time or anything, but it was, it's admirable what they did to fix it or salvage it. Oh, thanks, Cora, I appreciate that. I aim to please. The best way I always look at it is because I play games that I love. That way, I never feel forced to do it, or I never feel contrived, or anything like that. It's all 100% real, as they like to say. The first one turned good year 3. Yeah, see, that's it, is they tried, and like for the most part, they did an admirable job. Look at the slander they're throwing at me. You guys are the worst. You know, I don't think it works. I don't think it works, but let me try. No, you know what? It's not gonna work, but I'm gonna press it anyway. That sound probably didn't pick up. It probably only came through, because the Stream Deck likes to only work on PC. Not when I'm streaming for other stuff. Oh no, I like third-person shooters, Biz. It's just The Division did nothing for me. Like, let me give you an example. I really enjoy The Last of Us. That's a third-person shooter. I'm really looking forward to The Last of Us Part 2. So, okay, wait, boomerang. I can use the boomerang. Pole dart, that's fine. And at least when we get back to Gaia's Navel, we can upgrade a bunch of other weapons too. So they'll have lots more to upgrade. Yeah, here we go. And not just speaking of Borderlands 2 in that regard, Biz. I'm sure you've probably seen that they've basically teased a Borderlands 3 announcement this month. Just remember that if it's anything that's not Borderlands 3, everyone is going to be pissed off. Oh, absolutely, Kuro, absolutely. That's why... Here's a good example. Someone stopped by on one of my streams. It was a few months ago. It was actually, I think it was the night Red Dead Redemption 2 launched. It might have, give or take, Red Dead Redemption 2 had just come out, be it that night or the next day or the day after that. And I was streaming, what was it? I think I was streaming Sunset Riders on MAME. And someone just came in. It's a fairly recent, not a fairly recent, a fairly frequent viewer of mine came in. And they just said, this is why I'm one of their favorite streamers. Everyone is on the Red Dead Redemption 2 stream train, the hype and all that stuff. And I'm just here playing arcade games. Just because I want to, because that's fun to me. And I really appreciated that, because I look at it as... like, I'm just doing this for fun, and apparently it shows. Oh, yeah, same here, Biz, same here. My big worry about Borderlands 3 is, like, okay, let's assume that it is Borderlands 3, but they do with a whole Borderlands Online thing. I'm very worried that it would be like Destiny, the whole online shared world shooter kind of thing. I don't want that. Give me Borderlands 2 style. I can go around the whole world by myself. I can invite friends into it. I don't know, give me a dedicated server if I need to. Something like that. Just don't give me an online shared world crap. I don't need that. I don't like people playing on my phone. I don't like people playing on my Borderlands. I mean, let's be real, Randy. Just everyone, no one wants Battleborn. That's why the game died. Just give us Borderlands 3. It's just that easy. Just give us Borderlands 3. What's the matter, Beaver? You people don't have phones? That would be a very Randy Pitchford thing to say, to be honest. Then again, he doesn't have any place to talk nowadays with the allegations against him. The only thing, you know, I didn't even want to talk about this actually, but I'll just mention it very briefly, real quick. A lot of the stuff against Randy Pitchford, a lot of it, there's no problem with. Now, obviously, the child stuff is very, very, very bad, and there's a big problem with that. But, like, everyone's giving him shit for watching, what was it, like, watching some sort of weird cam girl or something, but apparently she's of legal age, so that, I mean, what's the problem with that? Now, I know some of you people in the chat whose names start with B are already going, oh, Q's trying to defend this because, you know, he wants to justify what he's doing himself. Get out of here, Beaver and Biz. I know what you're doing. Exactly, Biz. Exactly. That's why the internet exists. Anonymity from that kind of thing at home. I mean, he shouldn't have to justify it by saying, oh, I watched her, what was it, I watched her do some sort of, like, weird sex trick that turned out to be a magic trick, or I looked at it from a magician's point of view, because Randy Pitchford is, like, he's some sort of, like, ex-professional magician. I mean, Randy, if you were thirsty, and you wanted to watch a hot girl, that's okay. I mean, just deal with it. Who cares? Now Biz, Beaver, this is a tricky stream. You gotta remember that. We're Team Tricky up in here. Okay, what do we need weapon-wise? Because we just got a few upgrades. I think we're all good on the upgrades, actually. Yeah, you can still upgrade that. Yeah, we're good. Is this game upscaled, Distracted? Well, it's... I guess you could call it upscaled. It's running on my Super NT. So, technically it is the HD output. Understand that as you may. Why? Does it look too good for you? Does it look like, whoa, holy crap, Q's playing a Super Nintendo game that somehow looks better than a Switch game? What's going on? I mean, you have your answer right there. Candy. Chocolate. Okay, so we're good on items at least, anyway. Yeah, you're not wrong. It is like upscaled, or I guess you could call it upscaled, since the Super NT outputs it in HD. I told you I was coming back, Beaver. I told you we'd be back. I told you that your favorite theme song will be back. And just off the top of my head, I believe that song is called Meridian Dance. So if you go to YouTube, which I know you will obviously live on, you should be able to look up, I think it's called Meridian Dance, and listen to it at your own leisure. When you have the SNES Mini, it looks pixelated on your TV. Here's the big question, Born. What resolution is your TV? Because the SNES Mini caps your output at 720p. So if you have a 1080p TV or a 4K TV, or if you're using on a whatever 40p monitor, it gets really pixelated in that regard. The Super NT outputs at a 1080p. I'm playing on a 1080p monitor and I'm streaming it at 720p. So it probably looks really good in that regard. What's this look like on a 4K? I actually have it playing on my 4K monitor right now as well, Biz. It was 1080p, but now you have a real 4K TV. Yeah, see, Biz, the way I have this done, I'm playing it on my 1080p monitor on the right-hand side. I'm monitoring the live stream on YouTube on my middle 1440p monitor. And I'm using my streaming software on my 4K monitor, which is to my left. 47 inch, then you got a 56, 55 inch now. Funny enough, actually, it would probably look better on the 4K TV than it will on the 1080p TV. As weird as that sounds, because the reason for that is when you're stretching things out and like multiplying them, the resolution and factor, the 720p doesn't scale to 1080p properly, but it actually scales to 4K properly. So I think that's correct. I think that's the 720p one. So that should be fine for you. It would still look a little bit pixelated because you're stretching a pixel out to like 9 times its resolution, but overall, I mean, it should look kind of decent. But yeah, the Super NT, it's delicious. It looks so good. It's better for the price you pay. That's one way of looking at it. It's compromise, eh? I mean, come on, let's be real. You know, you can't be mad at a 4K TV for a 20-year-old console not looking something special on it. Then again, I could be mad for that kind of thing. Some people say I get mad at everything. I get mad at anything. And they don't understand that I just like to demand better. Oh, especially on an OLED, yeah. The colors would be really good on the OLED. See, what capture card do I use and what microphone do I use? My current capture card is an Elgato Elgato Game Capture HD60. Not a 60S and not a Pro, just a regular HD60. And my microphone is a Blue Yeti. I don't like this microphone anymore. It started really well, but maybe I just can't get the settings right or whatever. Because, you know, putting effort in, what is that? I don't know, I hear other people's microphones and they just, between the microphone themselves and the balance and quality and all, a lot of people just have it set up so much better than me, and I don't know how to change that. But I'm contemplating getting another capture card. I need a 4K one if I want to do my Xbox One or my PS4. So I might buy another one of them. But the 4K one is €400. So I'm kind of hesitant about that, because I wouldn't use it a huge amount. I look at it as an investment going forward, but I don't know, it's still a lot of money to fork out for, what, Halo? Maybe 1 or 2 console games? I appreciate that, Biz. Doing all the hard work for me. That's 60 GP, that's not bad. This is where there's a very short period of this game where GP becomes very important. It's basically after the tiger boss we killed, up until like maybe 2 or 3 bosses from now. GP can be pretty tight if you don't use it correctly. But hey, I'm a master of this game, so we got this. Oh no. I gotta be greedy. Oh, I did it again. Spear reaches level 2. I like to keep everyone leveled up with all the weapons, just to be safe. Rather than just have them spam the same weapon over and over, you might as well get something out of it. That sounded good. Level 12. No weapon upgrade though. Oh, the blue snowball. Yeah, it's like the mini version of the Yeti. I actually considered buying one of them when I first bought a microphone. I don't know, Biz. I'm gonna have to come up with proper titles for you. I mean, based on the Catherine streams, you're the antagonists. I feel like asshole is a bit strong. Antagonist is a bit more JRPG. Just stream retro games. Yeah, well, that's pretty much the idea. Retro games are the future, if you will. I still have to stream. I have to get a couple more MAME games, because obviously arcade games are very short. So I have to figure out a couple more MAME games that I can stream like all in one go, because I still have to stream G.I. Joe for Biz. I need to figure out something else while I'm at it as well, because apparently it's a pretty short game. So I need more than that, otherwise it would just be like a half an hour long stream. We don't want that. Let's see, people try to converse with me. Bieber and I back here throwing tomatoes. Well, luckily I got that mad gamer dexterity, you know, so I can shuck and jive. I can banter with the best of them. I mean, you should have heard some of the banter that me and my friends have in real life. I mean, oh, if only we could have like streamed it during those days, or only if that stuff would have been captured and all. I mean, I would be the biggest thing on YouTube. It's like I would be the funniest guy going, and it's so natural. It's just we were so good at it. It was just so good. Yeah, I think Beaver pretty much nailed it. Biz and Beaver are the Muppets on the balcony, throwing curveballs at me left, right, and center. It's that sweet legacy I have, Biz. Also, now I can completely annihilate this boss. Because I leveled up my magic properly, I can completely destroy him so easy. One single spell did 220 to him. I'd say I probably have to hit him maybe 3 more spells and it's over. If your magic isn't level 1, that does like 60 damage. So I just destroy him with this. And in the meantime, we can have her just throw us some sweet healing at the same time. Although her stuff's not leveled up. It'll probably level up shortly anyway. I mean, this one will probably kill him. That's it. Almost dropped my controller. Nice and easy. And now, the beauty of it is I can start leveling stuff up, leveling magic up at least anyway, to level 2. So if I can get that up there, or at least get my other one up to level 1 by the time I get to the next boss, it would destroy it. Also, now that I think about it, since someone, I think it was Bieber, referencing me forcing, what was it, marrying myself to Chicky in this game, which isn't true, by the way. But, now that I think about it, we're going to have some interesting developments in this game when it comes that way. Like right now. So now, technically, according to this game, Chicky and teenagers are married. And now it's officially canon. It happens here on a stream. You saw it here first. It's canon. It's official. Oh, no, Biz, come on. He's not Dragon Killer anymore, remember? Yeah, I knew I was being a bit optimistic when I said possibly get to the upper lands. I knew that would be if I went on a little bit longer, till maybe 3, but no, I can't be up till 3 o'clock streaming this. Oh yeah, Kuro, if you keep your magic on point, you completely break the game. That was just level 1 magic. Obviously, level 1 was the highest you could get it there, but... yeah, Biz, work in the morning. And just to make it worse, tomorrow is day 5 of 7 days in a row. Okay, I'm gonna quickly use my MP, because we always use all our MP before we rest to level up magic. Don't let it go to waste. And then we'll have a quick rest and a quick save. Oh, she can change weapon? Maybe? What weapon does she have? Yeah, the pole dart. She doesn't need that. She can go with the glove. Now, oh, here's one for you. I mentioned this earlier in the stream as well. When old games like this don't have proper pronunciation because they're just, they're just text. To me, this will never change. This name has been in multiple games since. It's been voiced in many games since. That ice elemental, according to everyone else, including the voiced remake of this game, that is called Undine. To me, that name is Undyne. That will never change. I grew up with that name being Undyne. That will never change. It's just one of those things. It was like that for 15, 20 years for me. It's not going to change. Ever. Okay, so this will at least be easy to use our magic for. It. So she'll level up her ice magic naturally very easy. Because we'll cure a lot as it is. We'll use cure water, we'll use our remedy as well, so it'll go easy. Like the creator of it. Yeah, that's exactly it, Beaver. I mean, he can be the creator all he wants, but it's GIF. It's not GIF. It's GIF. Here's another one for you. Since we're playing a Squaresoft game as well, a lot of people, and obviously the voiced games and all as well, will insist that it's Chocobo. That is incorrect. It is Chocobo. The word is chocolate. The word is choc-obo. Chocolate, chocobo. It's not chocolate. It's not chocobo. Oh, my items. 4, 4. Can't buy them here. Can't buy them here. And 4. Okay, we're good here. I'm just gonna check my inventory. Hey, you guys are American, Beaver. You guys are American, Biz. Come on. I am not gonna listen to your version of the English language. You don't speak English, you speak American, remember? You guys are the last people I'm gonna take English advice from. Whoa, hang on. Now people are throwing Undyne back at me. What is going on here? What happened to my safe space? Come on, lads. You didn't beat me in a war, Biz. We were on the same side. I mean, apparently we beat you in history by the sounds of it. Because I knew that. Probably a little bit behind, Beaver. If it buffers or whatever, you know, it can be a little bit caught up. You know what, actually, right? I was originally going to just save it here and go on. I'm going to take a small trip to the next town. And by the time we get there, I can save it and just end it there. Oh, there's a treasure chest down there. It's not like it can matter down there. They don't drop anything good. Well, they might drop Royal Jam, but I mean, ooh, what's 200 GP? I suppose it's kind of a lot at this point in the game, but it's not hugely important. See, Kuro agrees. Chocobo. Makes perfect sense. Literally in the English language. It's there for a reason. We have these clearly defined parameters of how things are pronounced. They're called syllables, people. Come on. Drop one more on here. Choco Taco Bowl. That's what you're going to call it in the US now. That's what always freaked me out, actually, in Final Fantasy... I think it was Final Fantasy 13-2. You had Chocobocolina. I'm like, no, it's Chocobocolina. Or Chocobocolina. Come on. Learn 2 English. Good here so far. I am gonna skip this ever so slightly. I mean, I could stop in Kippo Village and sleep again and then level everything up on the way to Pandora, but I'm actually gonna skip that one. That's quite the hashtag. I won't hold her being American against them. I welcome everyone as long as they like retro games. They're welcome here. Otherwise, they might be in the wrong place. You're in the King of Retro's kingdom now. No political talk in the stream. That's right. This is the United States of Q. This isn't the place for you to stand on your soapbox and talk about your freedom of speech. Because bottom line, you don't have freedom of speech. I hold all authority here. Me and all these 90s games. Come on, Beaver. You gotta remember, I don't laugh like that. I laugh like ha, 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 ha. Come on. I got them real laughs. I laugh like a human being. Oh, there's no taxes in the United States of Q, Biz. At least not for me. Everyone else, though, on the other hand. The tax is I live rent-free in their mind. In their headspace all the time. Every time you get that little pop-up notification on your phone, on your computer, on your desktop, wherever it is, that says Q has gone live. That's it. That's my tax. I'm tempted to extend my goalposts ever so slightly on where I said I'd stop. Mainly because, where am I? I need stats. Oh, I've got lots of GP. I do. I'm gonna go pick up two more magic walnuts. I'll sleep here as well because that'll give us enough to cast and level up a little bit more as we go. This guy is some salesman, did you hear that? It's ridiculous. Like, oh, help yourself to a bed. Then as you go to go, so whoa, buddy. It's 10 GP, Holmes. Come on. No, we don't need to save it yet. We'll go up, get the 2 walnuts, sleep again, come back down, sleep again, save it. Have I ever played this 3-player with the multi-tap? Yes. I didn't own a multi-tap back in the day. I still don't actually own a multi-tap. But a friend of mine used to own it because he got it with Super Bomberman. And then a couple of times we played this. It was kind of interesting because between everyone going into ring menus to cast music and stuff, wow, you can tell it's 2:30 in the morning here. But yeah, cast magic, it was a bit. Oh, I leveled up. I didn't even realize it. So I will use the axe. Yeah, it was a bit hectic. She's still leveling that up, that's okay. And oh, that's leveled up. Pole dart. That's actually something when you're thinking of the multiplayer and all for this game. And the multiplayer for Secret of Mana 2, a lot of people, because they've only played the ROM and stuff like that, they think, oh yeah, that had 3-player as well. Secret of Mana 2 actually only has native 2-player, but the modders actually modded in, or not the modders, but the the people who ripped the mod and translated the mod and all, they actually put in the 3-player possibility, because it's actually only 2-player. Freedom of Peach. That's a good question. I guess it comes down to one important... Oh, gloves reached level 2. It comes down to one important thing. While I'm not a fan of the fruit of Peach, we also have Princess Peach, who has that ass. Then again, I know where's Princess Toadstool, so... I mean, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. This time. Okay, we spam magic on the first few enemies we find. Hopefully get a level up out of it. Whoops, I didn't mean... I just instinctively just cut him down. Well, see, now you've spoiled it on me, Biz. Now I know it's coming. I would assume he's some type of stereotype. So, I mean, it's pretty much how everyone else views me these days anyway, so... Oh, this Rabite is in for a bad time. 100% stereotype. So he's what, the town drunk, falling around, probably a potato farmer. Everything, yeah. I actually almost bought that recently, just out of boredom. It was on sale on the Xbox One. I was thinking I could buy it, then I looked, it was like 7% off. I'm like, are you serious? I'm not buying that. Hey, Bieber, it's not my fault that, say, you know, Rockstar want to set back Irish relations 400 years, you know? They can choose to do that on their own time. He's a cowboy, so yes to all of that. See, I told you I was right. I knew it. Oh, that's pretty cool, Kuro. To be able to... I'd love to be able to actually do that, but a lot of my friends are very busy and some of them just aren't interested in doing it at all. But some of them are... The ones that are just kind of very busy. They're either very busy or very unreliable. Does the 3-player work on the multi-tap with a retro or with a repro card? For Secret of Mana 2, yes it does. I've never done it myself, but since it's the same ROM, I don't see why it wouldn't. I've heard other people doing it as well, so I'm assuming it's all together. Right, so we sleep here. We go back down to... We cast everything on the way back to Pandora. We sleep in Pandora, and we end it for the night. See, Beaver, I know you have that sentence copy and pasted, but you just have a gap, and then instead you either put in Nier or Red Dead 2. Oh, well, I didn't mean to save it, but it's not gonna matter. It's like, oh, quick, what game is he talking about? Oh, Nier Automata, boom. I said Automata because, you know, Beaver's American, and therefore he would pronounce automata incorrectly. It's like, oh, he's talking about Red Dead 2, I better paste the same sentence, but put RDR2 in there. I'm onto you, Beaver. I'm onto you. I know what your game is. Oh, I need to start hitting all these lads with that magic. Oh, there's our skill up. Level 1, that's gonna come in handy. We can start working on level 2 now. Now, unfortunately, we probably won't get level 2 by when we really need it. But well, you never know. Actually, I have plenty of fairy walnuts. I might be able to swing something. I knew it. I knew it. Copy and paste sentence. He probably has it stuck to a macro key and everything. Probably one on each actually. One for RDR and one for Nier. I can't remember. Did this level up? Yeah, Defender level 1. You know, just for the sake of leveling it up, this should put it to 1. Yeah, there it is. But we'll still use a lot of that anyway, so we'll level up the ones that we won't typically be using. Oh, but Q, why are you leveling them up? I don't know. It's just apparently what I do. Besides, it only takes a few seconds. So I just check my items, make sure everything is good. 4, 4, 4. I have 3 fairy wands. I don't need a 4th one just yet, but it could come in handy. You know what? I'll just trigger this just for the sake of it. Just before we save it. Okay, so she's down at the ruins. He fell for the marketing gimmick again. Him and his, oh yeah, just go sleep, you know, it'll be fine. So we save it there, and that's everything good on that front. So, oh god, I dropped my controller. It was good. At least I did it right at the end when I tried to put it down. Anyway, that's it for tonight's stream of the greatest game ever made, Secret of Mana, of course. Despite what many people may or may not claim is my... yeah, that's alright. But hey, people are entitled to their own opinions. It's my personal greatest game of all time and my favourite game ever. So, as always, I want to thank everyone for joining me, shooting the shit with me, hanging out in the stream chat, because, let's face it, I can sit here and I can play my favourite game ever and always enjoy it. But to be able to share it with everyone, hang out, do whatever we do, bant back and forth, because that's what this is, you know? That's what this is. You guys make it what it is. Make it much more than just sitting here playing a game by myself. So as always, I thank everyone for that. So we'll end it here. I'll thank everyone for being badasses as always. Peace out. I'll see you next time on whatever it is, be it the next stream of this, because yeah, of course I'm going to finish the thing. It's not a copy and paste, Beaver. It's my kind of usual outro. It's not a copy and paste. I mean, how many ways can I say the same thing, you know? But anyway, on the continuation of this, or whatever it is, because yes, of course, this will be continuing probably tomorrow, because, well, it's hard for me to stay off this game. Anyway, peace out, everyone. I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me, as always, and we out.